Alas, poor franchise. What have they done? Oh.
Yeah, this was the one I was fearful of, and I was right to be fearful of 5.
Oh god, I'm so emotionally drained.
What do you guys think? Do you guys hate me now because I made you watch these?
I'm quite happy that I've seen them though, because now I can really talk about Saw. Which is always great fun, like, you know, it's probably a great party trick.
Party piece. I was like, oh, actually, I think 4 is the best.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
features spontaneous cuts between scenes.
Yeah, actually I quite enjoyed those.
Compared
But this one had like nothing. I did not care about any person that was in the traps.
didn't learn their names.
I think that both of the two detectives looks exactly the same, and I don't know why they had that as a casting choice, because there's no way that that was an accident, and I don't understand why they made them look exactly the same, because honestly, because you have no connection to these characters, why am I not going to get confused?
Even I, when Perez went at the hospital, I was confused. Even though you talked about it a bit earlier, so why Hoffman is he? Oh no, that's not.
Oh, no,
that's
that's
strong. Fuck. Jesus. And Luke just talked about that 10 minutes before this. Yeah, okay.
I even did that in this film. I was like, wait, I don't understand why he... Oh no, that's not Hoffman. That's literally just actually got confused.
I mean, when the C plot, which we established in episode 4, is the highlight of this film, you know something's wrong. You know something's wrong if the C plot is the best aspect of this film. Even when it touched on things we didn't really need to know. You know?
The glass coffin was there and I liked. That's one of the highlights of the franchise for me so far.
Alright.
I do like that. It's like the ice and the colour and the way that the whole thing connected. It was really clever.
Very magician-like.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Kind of flawlessly.
if I manage to find that video again to share with the episode, I have a visual effect thing where I'm crushed. There's a thing somewhere I need to find.
Okay.
Yeah, in the same sort of
I just feel that, and we'll talk about it in the episode, I feel this is the movie that killed the franchise. I feel like this is where the damage is done.
Yeah.
I'll need to do some research if Paranormal Activity 1 came out with this film or it was Saw 6, but I do believe it's this film. I believe that's when
Okay.
Paranormal Activity started and it took over.
I saw Paranormal Activity in the cinema and I found that film terrifying.
It was because it was different, so it had been.
It was-
Saw was the new thing, you know.
Yeah.
That was the established 2000s.
It was different, and I think it really connected with like human fear, like all the little things that we're scared of, like things that go bump in the night, things that are invisible but are able to like control you, and also like slow possession, like that's terrifying.
And it was easy to make. I mean, budget-wise.
Or
It
you know,
didn't
like
cost a lot less.
it's the
to
kind
make.
of the Blair Witch Project coming back, and
Yeah, that's true.
people
Actually, that
really
is true.
enjoying that.
Oh, that was always a debate for me. Like, what with me and my mates, we go, "What do you prefer, Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch Project?" I mean, I was a Blair Witch fanatic, so I boycotted Paranormal Activity. So I don't think I think I've seen 2. I haven't seen any of the ones.
Maybe we should watch the first at some point because I have a nice brother story with the Paranormal Activity
Oh really?
to share.
I really
Alright.
like that film. I
Yes.
think it was scary. I think it was nice. Like I cared about the characters. I think the ending is a little bit like, oh, that's just jump scare and annoying. But I think the film in itself is fine.
But this was not this. This one was Saw 5. Was it 5? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
And I
five.
would say for once, Yorick is speechless.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
I'm glad we have 2 left, and I'm also glad that at least I have the enjoyment of 6 left to go. Because like 6 for me is the last hurrah, like the last chance of like any sunlight. Because I haven't seen 7 in a long time, and I know 7. I remember the bits of 7 that I'm like, this is rubbish. So at least I have 6 to look forward to now that I'm over the hump of 5. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was still pretty fucking awful.
I feel angry after watching that. And maybe not because like I feel like I've wasted my life, but because all the things that made Saw good it wasn't there.
No, you're right.
Like even the gore was overdone.
And
like,
so fake looking.
So fake. It was kind of like the prosthetics team kind of thought, we can have fun with this, but like really overdo it. The traps weren't that great, or at least like, so the quick editing with the screams and the different angles around the people, like it somehow was off in this film. Like you didn't really, it didn't get to me as much as maybe the last 4 films actually.
I think Yano had an interesting conversation because it felt to me very much like an escape room, this film. The traps really reminded me of a escape room-esque.
Yeah,
It wasn't really testing than really much, because obviously it wasn't an individual test, it was about working together, which escape rooms are about.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
Right.
it did have that more of a feel to it.
The previous ones came slowly to it, but now we're fully into that now.
Yeah, I think one's a great idea, and obviously it was for its time. It did the escape room thing, but it was its own twist. And then the series moved away from that, and now it's trying to come back to what 1 felt like. But there's just too much going on. There's too much going on.
Well, yeah, and I think the problem is that they were so involved with these 2 twins detectives so basically they needed to have them. So I thought it was quite a clever idea, but now that I think about it, it really wasn't. It was lazy. The fact that the last 2 people in the huge trap find out together why they're there, because there's no Tobin Bell anymore. You don't have that reveal. You don't really want one of the detectives to come in and explain to them why they're in this thing, in this trap. So they came up with the reason why they're in this trap together themselves before they put their hand in and got all the 10 pints of blood. And it was just a bit like, oh no. Especially because they could still win. So it wasn't like in Jigsaw, where the 2 people figure out too late that they just had to work together and not kill each other.
Oh, the end of the
And that
episode,
means
yeah.
that he's just left there. So you're kind of, and it's the same thing with Adam in the first one. It's like they're left there because they realised too late how to help themselves. In this one, they found out how to help themselves, realised they were too late, but won anyway. What the fuck is that? Sorry, but surely that doesn't make any sense.
I guess that's kind of true, actually. I mean,
She won!
Well, they both win. They both do win.
Yeah. I mean, they're half dead, but they'll probably win.
I mean, he's fine. He comes back in 7 for a bit.
Oh, for God's sake!
He's in one of the only fairly decent scenes of 7.
Jeez.
He was. The acting was okay.
Really?
It was okay. It was passable.
Jill Tuck is back.
Better. Much better than 4. I'll give her credit because we went in quite hard at her in 4. She was much better than she was in 4.
Yeah, but that scene where she's talking to the blonde guy, whoever the fuck he is, I have no idea what he's doing.
Oh,
is he a detective?
it's another Eric, isn't it? It's
just another.
No, it's not Eric Matthews. That was Donnie Wahlberg.
It's just another guy who seems to be everyone's superior.
And has a Bluetooth headset. Mr. Bluetooth headset.
Yeah, Mr. Bluetooth.
Mr. 2000s.
Yeah. Is kind of involved, and so with that scene with Jill Tuck and Mr. Bluetooth, that was awful. That acting of hers was really bad. And I think she has a problem with talking to people in a scene, because the many times that we've seen her talking to another person in a scene, maybe the most easiest thing to do as an actor, she can't do. She could do crying, which is super difficult. That was actually an alright scene.
Yeah.
But talking to someone is like, she just looks pissed off.
The thing with me, and we'll make this the final point so we can save some stuff for the episode. Save some rage for the episode so that we can get fire and have a good fiery hour.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that this film really doesn't solve anything. We get no answers to any questions that have been left up. We sort of get the answer with the girl that gets Jeff's daughter who gets found, but anything else that happens just makes more difficult questions, like what's in Jill's box. We still haven't found out what Amanda's letter said from 3. You know, we've got so many things left to actually get answered if we want them to be answered. And now there's even more questions. It's like, well, where is Perez? The woman who's introduced to us at the start, you know, with the flashback.
She morphed into a bloody pillow.
Yeah, she's a.
Yeah, she just died. They probably couldn't get the actor back, so they just decided to kill her off. The way that they would do it was just a bloody pillow and the detective looking sad at the bed.
Yeah. Well, we will have a fiery debate about this film tomorrow.
Yeah.
After we've slept on it and had a good think, but we will bring that fiery hatred, passion back for tomorrow's episode, and let's have a real fierce debate about where this one ranks in the series.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna have a poll at the end after 7. We're gonna rate each of the movies in order of quality,
Okay.
and then we will
Okay.
seal the deal with talking about 8. But until then, thank you for watching. This is the one I was dreading the most. It's the one that has affected my colleagues the most. And we still have 3 more to go.
Yes.
We are on the way.
See you around.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi guys.
How are we all?
We're ecstatic.
We're ecstatic to be here talking about Saw 5.
So fun.
Yes.
Episode 5 of our installment of the very long slog as it's now feeling. There's some tension on the couch, mainly caused by this film. So everyone, after Saw 4 was a bit of an episode because it was the first time we kind of realised, oh god, these are getting a bit repetitive, I would say. I don't want to say stale because at Saw 4 it wasn't stale yet. There was still some good enjoyment, and Daniel Lee Bousman's directorial style and all of the consistency since Saw 2 and Saw 1 really was still there. But this is the first one where we're moving away from it all. I know we start with the 4, but because Saw 4 has Rig, and it still revolves mainly around Saw 3, the end only really works if you know who Eric Matthews was. There's still some attachment to the previous 3 or 4 films. But Saw 5 is definitely the shift in the next direction.
Okay, before we go on all that new, exciting brackets stuff, in Saw 4 we talked about something we talked about a few times, creative differences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to report that very recently I went to see the first day of the Marvel Film Festival, and on the same day it was announced that Robert Downey Jr. and Terrence Howard buried their hatchet.
Oh.
Yes. They decided that life was short and it was really no need to have some hate like that over weird reasons that are really undisclosed. But that leads me to... the first movie was obviously Iron Man, and the antagonist in there is called Obadiah Kane, and Tony Stark calls him Obi. So I was like, oh, is that the same Obi nickname, the guy who should probably his real name Obadiah in Saw?
I mean, I don't think that character is called Obadiah. I just think Obadiah is such one of these oldie names, you know. I mean,
I think it's a religious name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because of...
So it's possible because quite a lot of people have religious names.
So it was Ben Obadiah Kenobi.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
Obadiah 1 Kenobi. Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
not pitching that for a new Star Wars movie. That's the Han Solo effect. The Obi-Wan Kenobi movie isn't actually about Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. He's actually just how his middle name was shortened from Obadiah to Obi.
Mm-hmm.
And erratum, I think. I know you said you spotted Obi in the hospital, right? At some-
No, it was when he was having the flashback when he was having his brain operated on, and he walked past in the street.
oh,
That was Obi.
that was in the street. Okay.
That
okay.
was in Saw 3.
Okay, because in that same Saw, there is the guy who was killed in the nerve agent house, was killed by the gun in the door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was in the hospital,
Oh, was he?
having an argument with Cecil.
So was the guy who Amanda.
Gus.
Yeah, who Amanda cuts open as well. He's there as well.
The guy's in 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, because we see the bodies again. Yeah, that's a whole thing. Saw 5, right? I'm going to just put it out there at the beginning. The most interesting plot in this whole section is the C plot. But we will get to the C plot because the film takes some time to get there. I really think Anouk should describe the story of Saw 5.
Yeah. So, well, no.
No?
Well, the thing is that I don't know how much we learn in Saw 4 anymore. Like, I'm very confused as to when one film ends and the other begins.
I was wondering who was going to say that first because I agree. There are scenes in here that I thought were in 4.
Right. Well, I mean, Adam, you know these films much better than I do because obviously you have you watched them years ago
The funny
and
yeah,
you've
sorry.
seen them like before and now you're watching them again, whereas I watched them years ago and it didn't have any lasting impression on me. So I was watching these films basically like for the first time, I felt like, because I don't remember Saw 5, 6 and 7 at all.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea what happens from now on. You have the two detectives, Strom and Hoffman, who look exactly the same. And I keep on getting really confused with both. And now I've heard people say, oh, look, we couldn't cast you because you looked to this and to that and to this. So I feel like this couldn't have been a mistake, that these two detectives look so similar. But why would they do that? Because we have no attachment to either of them, which means that you always get them confused. But it's so important to not have them confused because one of them is fucking Jigsaw and not fucking Jigsaw.
I want to play a game.
Yeah.
It's not that type of movie.
It's not that kind of film.
Do you like flowers?
Exactly. So okay.
It's a romantic comedy of the season.
Okay, so and the other one is figuring out slowly that this guy is Jigsaw.
Okay, so Mark Hoffman is Jigsaw, or Jigsaw's
Yes.
his accomplice, and Detective Peter Strom
Yeah.
is the hero trying to figure it
Yeah.
out.
But now Hoffman is Jigsaw because Jigsaw is dead.
Yes.
So there's no other way. And of course, the first guy with the that gets cut in half
Seth.
is the killer. Seth Baxter.
Yes, well done.
Is Hoffman's sister's killer.
Right.
So, and that is why he doesn't win,
Do you want some help?
doesn't get. Well, no, I'm just saying that this is the first time that you see actually Hoffman watching alone one of the traps. And so it's like, okay, well, he's totally involved in this.
Yeah, but when he kills Seth, he isn't.
Yeah, well, this comes out later. Thank you,
Oh,
Adam.
sorry.
This comes out later that this is a flashback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay, so that is a flashback, and actually, that's the way that Hoffman gets on board with Jigsaw afterwards. It's kind of like he tries to be a copycat killer so that it's put onto Jigsaw, but actually, Jigsaw just catches him, puts a gun to his head, and says, "Who are you?"
and he's not very happy that he's copycatting his
As
way.
you would be.
No, but then he says that you're doing it in the wrong way. He tries to teach him how to give someone a choice between life and death and make them happy that they're alive. Like, how far are you willing to go until, as in to live? How much blood are you willing to spill? Blah, blah, blah.
What you've described is essentially the plot. It's a Hoffman. It's the film.
Yeah.
The film sets up. Let's make Hoffman the Jigsaw killer. The unfortunate thing for this film is it's a Saw film, and we have to have some traps involved.
Yeah, and you have to have Tobin Bell, who is dead. So then they were like, okay, well,
How do we get
want to
him
bring.
in?
Yeah, exactly. How do we bring Tobin Bell in? And through flashbacks. Great.
Meanwhile, Peter Exposition Strom is discovering little by little and reinventing, having little epiphanies every 15 minutes. So, oh, that's him.
Oh my God,
I-
that drove me so insane.
I really expected Strom to end up at every set we'd used in the Saw franchise. He's just in the bathroom. He's like, it started here. This is where it all began for you, didn't it?
So I remember the first time that you see Strom going back to, he sees a hole in the wall, and it's obvious that someone's been watching the Saw with the
Pendulum.
pendulum. Yes, that's a good word. Pendulum. And then that's when he realizes, he looks towards the camera, but obviously off camera. And then I said, oh, so that's that he's found out that that's Detective Hoffman. And then the character decides to say exactly what I just said. And it's like, okay, well, you've just treated your audience as like, they're stupid. Like, there's a balance. It's like, don't go Hereditary and think that your audience is really clever, but don't go Saw either. Saw 5 even. It's like it was unbelievable. Literally everything had to be said and understood and reiterated. It was ridiculous.
So this is written by the same guy who wrote 4. Sorry. Not writ.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
So, and it's the first one in the franchise not to be directed by Darryl Lynn Bousman. Well, except one who's directed by one of the two writers.
James
likes-
Wan. Yeah.
James Wan, yeah.
He likes these long traps, doesn't he? Where you go from one room to the other, because Saw 4 is also that.
The moving idea of different traps, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard because 5 for me is the one I've been dreading. This is my least favorite one. I was surprised how bad. I didn't remember how. Sorry, I'll start again because I've said it wrong. I didn't remember how much I'd forgotten about 4 being that bad, or learning through watching so many films for reviewing podcasts that 4 doesn't stand up very well in the series. However, I did remember before all of this that 5 was my least favourite. And the main reason for that is because the traps were bad, in my opinion. So before this episode, I went, and as I've done for most of the other ones, I went online and watched the behind-the-scenes stuff of them making the traps. And it's fascinating. The one of the first scenes we get is Strom leaving the room that he was trapped in 4 to be then captured and put in the water box, the waterboarding test, really. And I learned that the actor, Scott, was actually in that box for up to a minute a take. And then he would wave his hands going, right, I can't do any more. And they would open the box and the water would drain out. So the amount of level that they go to create these effects is really impressive, especially with the pendulum as well, because they had to have a live actor in there for the reactions while it moved. So they had 2 pendulums. They had one that was actual steel for like cutting through the prosthetic, and then they had one made of foam, which was to be used when the actor was on set. So it's absolutely incredible, the length and safeties and all the stuff that they do for all the traps in the film. It's a creative effort. The only problem I have is when we talk about, for the first time ever in a Saw franchise, the A plot is now the detectives, the B plot is the people in the traps, because there's no way we can call the traps the main point of the film at this stage, because it's not. We don't start with them.
No, we don't. And we haven't met these guys before. And we have no connection to them, so we actually don't care. The script is really poor, so the realization that they've done this horrible thing is kind of lost, because it's done in this very annoying way. When it's really obvious that a film is jelly beaning, you lose your audience really quickly. Like someone saying, oh, wait, you know something, don't you? No, I'm not going to say anything. Like, oh, fuck off.
That's
like,
on page 12.
It's ridiculous. It's literally like, it's so obvious that you just want to elongate this out so that, you know, it's like a huge climactic thing.
The problem is with what exactly you're saying is that because Saw has to have a twist, you know, and the twist for the B plot is the fact that they've all to work together.
But you don't care because you've got like both the detective story as well. You've got so much going on that when she says we were supposed to work together, there's supposed to be 5 people, and if there were 5 people, it'd only be 2 pints of blood each rather than 5 pints each because they decided to kill every other one.
Maybe there was a little, well, not a major twist like usual, but multiple tiny twists, which is maybe why this one had no game over.
Maybe that could be that's an interesting point. I guess. I mean, okay, well, we may as well talk about it now. The whole ending of this film. No, actually, no. Let's keep that to near the end.
Well, no, because I thought that there was no game over because they needed Detective Hoffman to follow Strom so that they could have their weird twin fight, and which totally confused me, by the way, because honestly, I can't tell them apart.
You're like, who's in the box?
Yeah, why? Who? What? Wait. I thought he was Jigsaw. No, it's the other guy. Oh, is he coming through the door? Wait, what is he doing? Wait, I'm so confused.
Is it Riggs test? Don't come through the door.
There was actually a point where I was like, oh, it's Strom in the box, and Hoffman has finally got him, and he's going to kill him that way. Oh no, it's the other way around. Oh fuck. So, the reason why I just ranted like a few minutes, I have no idea why. How did I get here?
I wanted to talk about the end briefly, then I was like, nah, let's keep it to the end. You're like, no, because you probably wanted to talk about
the fact that there's no Jigsaw anymore. So the way that the woman realized that they had to work together and that they won was by this random Bluetooth guy find her. She goes, we won. And there's no other person to describe it for you. So they kind of come up with this fact by themselves, these 2 people at the end of the trap. She goes, if we worked together, we would have been able to, we could have won this, we could have all survived. And so it all goes back to Jigsaw saying, you will want to be selfish, but I really hope that you find another way.
The thing is as well that this test we find out for the C plot is planned by John. This is a John test. He gives Hoffman the details about these people and then says it's not clear to you why these people are being tested, but they need to be tested. And it's like Hoffman hasn't set his own game in motion yet. I mean, ever. The only sort of thing he sets in motion is Strom trying to catch him. And even then, it's not him putting it in motion. It's Strom going around the locations trying to find him. Hoffman only tries to frame Strom at the end.
What is strange, though, is that... well, yeah, I mean, he does, doesn't he? Because Mr. Bluetooth... it basically says, oh, it was Strom all this time. And then he basically calls it in. He says,
find me Strom.
We found some evidence saying that it's Detective Strom. And so, and he basically, Hoffman says that in his tape, Strom's tape, because he's like, my legacy will be yours.
There's something that for me doesn't make sense there. So, because, Hoffman is framing, so maybe it was a different multiple outs thingy, because so he's framing Strom, like he makes sure that the phone is where it's supposed to be and everything, but still kills him, or he kills him. Well, so it's a bit weird that you have got this whole plan making sure that Strom will get arrested, but to have him killed.
Yeah, I think that'll be paid off later probably. I mean, the amount of stuff that gets set up in this film is ridiculous.
Wait. So he frames Strom
Yes.
and then kills him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too, because he doesn't have to basically go through life everyone thinking that he's Jigsaw, so he doesn't. It's like, okay, well, that was a really short punishment. Is it like people care about what happens to their legacy after they die? Like what?
Well, technically, Strom could have. He had the choice not to die. Actually,
Strom
it
makes.
did, but
Sorry, yeah.
yeah, no, that's it. So that's probably why the thing is that the whole freeing him. So that was the second out to make sure that he was finished.
Strom is the second person in the Saw franchise not to listen to the tapes, and we all know what happened to the first woman who tried that. She got her hands stuck in a box and she couldn't get them out.
Right. So
Strom deliberately turns off the tape when he hears something behind him, and it's done. It makes sense because the film, the dramatic reveal that because he doesn't hear the half of it saying, "If you don't get in the box, you'll die," right? But it's stupid. It's like you would listen to the whole tape.
Well, this is what I was thinking in Saw 2, when she just chucks the tape away and then puts her one hand in, realizes she can't get it out, then puts her other hand in, because that makes so much sense, honey. And it's like, there are so many things where it's like, I understand that there are a lot of people in this world that are really stupid, but more than once, people just haven't learnt how Saw works, and he's killed so many people. It's like, surely these detectives have read his file.
Or that's a really good segue to the fact that in the B plot, which is the trap in this film, I know that'll confuse listeners going, but the B plot's the detective story. The B plot with the traps, they know who Jigsaw is. They go, don't you watch the news? They know who he is, but they're the most stupid people not to figure out that maybe we should figure out the hidden meaning to why we're here, and maybe we should, when he says don't do your instincts, maybe we really shouldn't do our instincts.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, what do you want to do? Be selfish. Okay, well, let's work together. Like, that's the best thing.
And
Go on.
yeah, no, there are some weird lines. Brett, so that's the name of the survivor. She takes the fifth key that wasn't used, and she said she was being smart.
Yeah, I know, eh?
Which then, following all the following rooms, she was just as dumb as everyone else. When they could have, well, everything unfolds in the last room, obviously, but when they could have used the tubes, like, to be more than one person inside, all the electricity stuff and everything.
Yeah.
But I've got still to say that Julie Benz, who plays that girl, Britt, and the glass coffin are my two favorite things in that movie. Julie Benz was Darla in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Dexter Morgan's wife.
Yeah, I remember that one of the actresses in this is from Dexter, and that's the problem, is because if you know an actress is from Dexter, you're like, well, you're making it to the final trap.
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal. Yeah, I mean, I think because I recognize the black girl as well. She's definitely done some other stuff. I'm gonna find that out, and then
I'll find that out for you.
Yeah. So I feel like it was a really, really, actually, it was a really good trap. The whole, 5 traps. But the problem is that it was just done really lazily. And actually, it's a really, really good idea to have people that are really selfish, make them work together, and then in the last trap, they realized that if they actually worked together, they would have had to go through less pain, because they would have had to absorb less electricity, take a small shock each, only have 2 pints of blood out of your body instead of 5. I mean, that's intense.
Which is funny, because it goes back to stuff I talked about in 3 with the surgery. So the humors, that's one of the reasons some people were dying, because to have a balance between all the humors, the easy accessible humor was blood, and at the time they thought that we had way more than we actually had, so they were removing, and then at some point you just didn't have any blood, so obviously he died.
Yeah, and of course there's a point where it's like your blood is so dangerously low that you probably die anyway because and I mean I don't know what they thought about blood transfusions and all that kind of stuff, which is probably what you had to do. Even though in Bram Stoker's Dracula they do that. So I think they've been doing that for a while. But yeah, so the sad thing is that this could have been really interesting, but they just didn't know how to do it. This whole film, like, there are really interesting things going on.
A point I addressed in a previous film, and that is actually here in the first trap of the escape room they're having. You know, the when I talked at some point that if they had just waited, the trap wouldn't have, the clock wouldn't have started, which is a whole segment in the very first room with which is the same trap as Jigsaw actually.
But doesn't the other clock start, the 15-minute counter? Because it starts as soon as the door closes in the other room, but that has to start.
Yeah, but they had a bit of an explanation and a reflection on the whole should we wait and stuff thing. But still, they would have died automatically after 15 minutes. But still, they had 15 minutes.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gets talked about in the first bit where they're like, wait, if we go, you know, we snap the thing.
Yeah, the British guys, like,
Yeah.
if you move, we'll set off the timer. So
So
they do
that
address that, yeah.
that is addressed, but they really quickly forget about it. And it's the trust fund kid that actually starts it, I think, no? He's like,
Yeah,
fuck this.
He
and then
runs forward and starts it, yeah.
Yeah, it does. We get John's will on a VHS and the return of Jill Tuck.
Yes.
And there is a mysterious box that we don't know about, and we still don't know about.
No, that isn't answered in this one. That's another question that gets answered later on, probably. But not in this film.
So did the actress playing Jill improve in your eyes?
But she has less scenes than she does in 4.
So, yes.
So, yes. But in the scene with the lawyer, it's all right. I was like, yeah, you're fine in this scene.
Her crying bit was okay, actually. But her just having normal dialogue with people is quite painful to watch, I think. She always looks so angry, and it's like, have you got any other emotion?
It's almost like she's playing a villain.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is one thing that I got really confused about. So when she goes to Bluetooth and says, I think Detective Strom is following me, was that to set up Strom? So is she actually a villain? Is she involved in this? Or did I get that completely wrong?
I think you're thinking of other films. Maybe you're...
No, I'm not, because the reason that she got Bluetooth involved is by going to him and saying, I think Strom is following me.
Oh,
So
yeah, no, that's true.
So when there's like the montage where, you know, it's all explained, and then, you know, like Saw loves that, like the explaining montage. One of them is her going to Bluetooth and saying, I'm being followed by one of your own, so the police can't help me. So it's like, did she get him involved?
Like, I guess.
Because you're not supposed to. I mean, well, that's not explained more. Because it's like, wait, what, are you supposed to think that Jill is involved in this somehow? But then you don't give us the ending of that story.
Who's the protagonist in this?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What's the story structure of Saw 5?
Jill Tuck.
No.
No. I mean, it's like Hoffman, I guess.
So the inciting incident is what? Strom surviving the trap when he was meant to die.
Yeah, I guess.
So Hoffman decides, I need to frame him.
Yeah, because, you know, there's that whole bit where Strom is like, you were supposed to be the hero. We were all supposed to die.
Yeah, we got that. So the turning point would be... No, that's too soon. Strom getting, like, let go.
Strom getting out, surely, no?
No, that would be an inciting...
Or Hoffman seeing Strom in the ambulance.
No, that has to be the inciting incident. That's the start of the film.
Oh, sorry, what did you ask?
What's the turning point?
Oh, turning point.
I guess the whole when he sees that Strom is like taken all the files and he's like still investigating.
Yeah, I
He's
would
like, I
say
have
that
to do
too.
something.
Or when he gets the note, I know who you are.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. But that again, that's really quick. That's really starting in the film. But again, it's 90
Yeah.
minutes, so it has to be. So that could very well be.
But also, this isn't a good film, honey. So you don't
No,
need
but
to.
I know,
make
but
it.
it's no. I'm just trying to pick it apart so I can look. So I can look if this works as a film. Like, what's the story?
I know who you are is definitely not halfway through.
Yeah, I know that. But but you think that's the turning point? Is that? I think it's either that
I think it
or
is.
Strom sees or Hoffman sees that Strom has taken all the files about Jigsaw and all
Yeah.
the tests and stuff like
But
that.
then I know who you are starts the turning point to come. Like that's like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
start of
That's a signpost.
the wheels starting in
On the bus.
in motion. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
And then the climax is obviously the scene in the box. Them they're finding each other and fighting each other at the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what the
Yeah.
rest of the film is filler.
Yeah.
So in that story structure, the people in the test in the B plot have no impact or no relevance to that going on.
None.
None.
Absolutely
none
none.
so whatsoever. So
No.
from what we've established is the main story of Saw 5, this is the first time that the trap has had nothing to do it. Saw 1, it's the main point. Saw 2, it relates to Eric's son, so it is there. They think that that's live. Saw 3, it's the part of the twist, right? It's Jeff and Lynn. We don't know that until we find out that Jeff and Lynn were married, so that's still involved in the main plot. 4,
Yeah.
it's about Rig. I mean, it is the main plot, even though the B plot is with Strom and that we didn't really care about, but the traps are related to the main storyline.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've got ones that are not related to the storyline whatsoever, like an afterthought.
They just like in the previous film they picked elements from the previous ones. Here, just like we saw Amanda helping with the traps in the previous film, now we see to establish this new accomplice, which actually was before Amanda. Well, anyway, we see him with Jigsaw. They're having a little moment doing the barbed wire trap thingy, and then the nerve gas house thingy.
Well,
yeah, it's all Hoffman.
that's a good way to segue into the C plot of the story, which I got confused. I thought that the scene when Jigsaw interrogates Hoffman in the chair was in 4.
Yeah.
So when I was watching 4, I was looking forward to the scene turning up, and it's not. It's in 5. It's the first. I know Saw likes to reuse their sets, but that one is like identical.
Right.
Um,
I think the trap, the only reason why it's done is so that Bluetooth can see that Strom, because he calls Strom and his phone is right next to the desktops with the
The cameras filming
the cameras,
stuff.
exactly, yeah. And so he connects those two, and then he also sees Bluetooth his own pictures on the file. So it's like, oh, Strom is like involved. It feels like that's the only reason why there's a long trap.
Bluetooth is a lovely nickname for the head of the FBI.
that's quite good. I almost was like, should we look up what his real name is? But I
thought-
love that Anuka is calling him Bluetooth,
Yeah,
so let's just stick with that.
Yeah, I thought it the other day, but I don't remember. it's and something Granston or something. I don't. But yeah, Bluetooth is great.
So the C plot in this film is the only enjoyable scene I think in this entire movie is the scene with Tobin Bell interrogating Hoffman. When Tobin Bell delivers what might be the best line he's ever delivered in the Saw franchise to date, the killing is distasteful.
Yeah.
That delivery is excellent. That makes that scene. So it's just so clear that Tobin Bell is what makes the Saw franchise work. And unfortunately, we killed him in 3.
I don't know why they did that.
Yeah,
Well, it's because the 2 original guys were done. That like they didn't really want to do 3. They did 3 because they're like, okay, we'll honor Greg Hoffman, who died after the premiere of 2 unexpectedly. So they were like, right, we'll come back and do 3, and they wrapped it up. They killed Jigsaw. They were done, and then somebody
They killed Amanda.
Yeah, they killed everyone.
Yeah.
There's one little nugget that is in that scene you just talked about. When John gives pendulum improving advices to Hoffman, that
You gotta-
tempered steel should be used.
Should use a tempered steel.
It's a
For a
real
better edge.
serious thing for Jigsaw. I mean, it's a real job.
Well, John was an engineer, so he knows. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, and apparently Amanda is also building traps. Hoffman is learning.
I reckon Jigsaw must be like an incredible engineer to be able to pass on the skills to Amanda. Unless we don't really know what Amanda was doing before she was a junkie, so she might have been an engineer student. You never know. That might be a twist in 6. Amanda actually worked as a doctor.
Yeah.
This film features on the tape the voice of someone else, not Jigsaw for once.
We finally get
Yeah.
right. There's an inconsistency because the tape that we hear for Seth at the beginning is definitely like the other tapes in the film.
It's Jigsaw.
It's Jigsaw, but in the film they established that wasn't Jigsaw. That was Hoffman.
Yeah, but I think it's really easy to take someone else's voice and then edit it together to make it seem like they're saying certain sentences that you want them to say.
I mean, I guess, but
I mean, isn't that in one of the films?
Anouk.
Not in this one so far, but some movies, they reconstruct the voices. They have,
Finally, my ability of watching the Saw franchise chronologically when I was a teenager pays off. He can't have used Jigsaw's tapes because Hoffman does it just while Saw was beginning. It's
he's the one that's involved with the barbed wire guy,
which
who
was
is before
Amanda.
No, isn't it before the bathroom scene as well?
Yes, it's before. It's even before Amanda.
Yeah, so true. Sorry, you're right. I forgot that
So he can't be taking samples from any of the other Jigsaw stuff.
No.
even though he's a detective. So if there was something before barbed wire guy, then maybe he could have taken it from that, like, because he would have been called to the scene. So
I guess maybe there's trap. Wait. Oh no, that doesn't work either. That gets too confusing.
you can also totally formulate and edit your own voice to whatever you want it to sound like. So I think it's totally fair enough that this could have just been done, because he's a detective. He has probably so many of these things at his fingertips, all these machines and things.
Yeah, but it's 2000. It's 2000. It's before 2004.
Yeah, well, we don't edit.
That scene is before 2004 because of the timeline.
Yeah,
If Saw
yeah.
starts in 2004, and the latest we've gone is 6 months after 2004 because of Saw jump from 2 to 3, right?
Yeah.
So we're only 6 months past. We're maybe in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time.
No, I understand.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, but I gotta say it's really much fun to change sentences and stuff, because when I edit, sometimes I have a mic noise exactly at the point where it should not be. So I do some weird stuff, and it's maybe not necessarily what was said in the moment, but through the magic of editing, woo!
I
it works.
guess.
You can make anyone say anything. Don't believe anything you see on the internet.
Don't believe anything you hear.
You have to really a guy to control your nerves to be able to auto-tracheotomize yourself.
Oh, I mean, I was thinking that, like, that is unbelievable. And how does he have, the strength? Because I think when you're under panic and you're in a box that's filling with water and you can't breathe, you can probably with adrenaline be able to do it and think about it even. But just having the knowledge of doing it is kind of like,
Well, I guess
I'm not sure.
I guess he's an FBI guy, so he
If-
might have the training.
True.
You've seen ER probably. The first time I've seen that was in an ER episode.
But would you even know where to put it in your throat?
Well, obviously, if you miss, you're fucked.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've just killed yourself.
Maybe he's got a really sore throat for the next couple of
Can
days.
you imagine? It's just like, ow!
I mean, you really don't have any. It's just like if you were to be stung by a bee, where you're not supposed to be stung. That's one of the few options that you have to continue living, is to do that, because
Right.
you will
I see.
suffocate and die. Or if you have like a flexible tube to like immediately, but you have to think about it. And I would say, have with a rush of
Adrenaline.
adrenaline, you would probably, but with some rushes of adrenaline in those traps, a guy would prefer to have one of his eye removed and just wait, and then you just explode.
Or wait for the last second to begin to cut your eye out before a Venus flytrap crushes you.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like that could have been done.
What one? The Venus flytrap?
Yeah. I feel like it could have been done.
Not in 60 seconds. You got to cut your eye out straight away. You got to cut it within the 5 seconds of the timer starting. If you do it any later than that, because remember you got to cut it out, and then you've got to find it. You got to rummage around and push it out wherever it is in your face. Then you got to take it out. Then you got to undo the collar.
And that's the exact trap I was talking about earlier, and in a previous episode, the one that he could have waited.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
same as well. Yeah.
He freaked out, and also, if you think about Amanda, the first trap that she was in, it takes her quite a while to put the key in.
Yeah, she fumbles around in that.
Yeah, like she has the key inside the lock, but it's like stiff, and I'm just thinking, Jigsaw, that's just cheeky.
I've not oiled my lock.
there is an extra in there who is in the Ghostbusters Answer the Call level.
Where?
Just after Hoffman entered the time traveling portal.
Oh, that was my one note I had. The Hoffman in the time traveling door. Yeah. Oh, are you talking about the woman with the dog?
He was just, do you mind? Even like if she clearly was extremely eager to deliver a line
Don't
because
provoke him.
Oh, that was hilarious.
What was the dog called? Tiny or something?
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee. It's a massive German Alsatian.
It's the most ridiculous.
No, sorry, it's a shepherd, right? It's a German shepherd. Sorry.
Also, the way that the camera was angled and following him, it was just so obvious that someone was going to come that we knew. Like, it was just done in a way that it was like, okay, well, we're going to recognize one of these people. And I just kept on looking out for it. And then, of course, Tobin Bell comes out of the lift. And so it's a bit like, that's not a great reveal, because if I know that a reveal is coming, then the suspense is kind of already half done.
The thing is as well that scene, Jan, were you talking about the woman in the elevator as well?
Yeah, I was
The
not talking about the black woman,
I
the
thought the
German
bla-
shepherd.
I
No,
thought you
that's the old. As soon as the elevator opens, even it's not finished to open, she's already. Do you mind?
Do you mind?
Do you
Yeah.
mind? Get out of the fucking way.
It was
It's like everyone in this
wasn't
town
good.
deserves to be tested.
I know.
Jigsaw must have his work cut out. Everyone's a dickhead. You were rude to me in the elevator. Now let's see how quickly you rise your temper.
You noticed the creative use of mirrors in this one.
Not as much as in 4 when the woman went smashing through it into another scene. Remember that?
Transitions.
The transition with the woman smashes through the mirror and then it cuts into the detectives. Like,
Oh, that's terrible.
yeah, that was funny.
That's a terrible. The only good one is when Tobin Bell turns and then Hoffman is looking through. Sorry, Strom.
No, Hoffman.
in
One of the twins.
Hofstrom.
Hofstrom.
Hofstrom, yeah.
We had, just like in Hereditary, miniatures in this one.
Yes, I quite like that.
The
It's
miniatures.
kinda creepy.
The miniatures have been there since Saw 1. In Saw 1, Danny Glover and Detective Singh. I shouldn't say Danny Glover. I should say Detective Tapp, because I can't remember the actor's name who plays Singh. But they find that the like little layout of the bathroom in the first one, and I think it's kind of been there ever since.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in 2 or 3, but it's definitely been seen before. It's like even Hoffman. It's like Jigsaw teaches them how to make traps. He teaches them how to make little dioramas to see the rooms look like. He teaches them audio processing to make the tapes.
Oh, because he wanted a son.
Hi, I'm Tobin Bell, and welcome to my masterclass.
Yeah. he wants a son to teach. That's why.
True. That's very true.
A detail also, in one of the headlines journals that we saw on the screen, we saw that Zepp is only with one P.
Yes.
Which is weird considering that the song Hello Zepp is with 2 P's, so I'm not sure.
I feel like this whole franchise is just losing its shit.
There's a scene where in the C plot. I didn't think we ever needed to see the guy who was in the razor maze get captured? That was one of the questions I was never wondering from Saw 1. Like, how did they get him down there?
I know.
And they
it was
capture
such a
him.
waste of my time.
I
Like,
really
it was like, I don't care about this guy.
I really thought they were going to throw in, like, you know, the one of the best bits in Saw 1 outside the bathroom when, like, we think it's Jigsaw, but it's probably Amanda or it's probably Hoffman, like, crawling on the floor to get Gordon. You remember that scene where we see it in the one of the funny mirrors and it's like crawling on the
Yes.
floor? I thought we were going to get one of them again, which I was like, oh, that was quite cool.
Yeah.
But we don't. And also,
It's because Carrie Elways was like, nope, not coming back. You guys screwed me over.
oh, that was in the other scene. It's like when he says, I need you to deliver this pen to a detective on the force to implicate somebody. And we see Danny Glover's scene again. We see, is this your pen? And we don't see Lawrence. I'm like, I wonder why we're not seeing Carrie Elways.
Yeah.
Probably because we don't want to pay him for royalties.
Please, Elways, please come back. And like, nope, you guys screwed me over.
The thing is, as well, I was going to say that Jigsaw, they undercut his own message because in Saw 1, they say to the guy in the razor trap, like, did you cut yourself because you wanted the rush or something like that, because you wanted to die?
Yeah.
He doesn't even cut himself. He's about to, and then he gets interrupted.
By
Like he's
two
in
pigs.
the car.
My thing is that he's done it before.
I mean-
so this is just something that he does when he's like having a panic attack. So he's about to cut himself, but it's not the first time. It's not
I
like
guess,
he's like
yeah.
suddenly just decided I'm gonna cut myself. Like,
Jigsaw's like, you need to be tested before you do it again.
yeah, no. I think it was just something that he does now. So
I mean, was that plot to establish that the serum that they needed to use needed to be stronger? I think that's the only thing we got out of that scene, is that whatever they used to use, which has never been an issue because every time they've used the syringe of whatever they have that knocks the people out has always worked. It even works on Hoffman in the lift before that test, and then for that time it doesn't work.
yeah, he's like,
He keeps fighting back.
I got to say that they managed to find someone, a character, as probably not as much, but a bit like as obnoxious as Xavier, the bald guy in the C plot,
Oh yeah.
who got killed off with the exploding devices.
that was really ridiculous. And actually, that was something that Jan brought up, that he could have just followed someone else, because the amount of times that they walked in and then kept on walking, like they didn't close the door behind them, so he could have just followed one of the other guys. Like, he didn't have to find another key.
I've never been around a bomb going off, right? But I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't wouldn't die, but you would definitely be impaled by some nails even if you were in those tubes.
I mean, you probably wouldn't be like as he looked like the guy imploded. That's how that looked.
Yeah.
With those, I don't. Yeah, he would have had plenty of stuff
Yeah, like
stuck.
the people in the tubes, when they think they're in safety, surely they would look something similar of like one of those cocktail hedgehogs you get at parties with ham and cheese on them. Like they've got a bit of nails poking out of
Well,
them.
I don't know. I feel like if you've got a huge room, a bomb with like C4 and all that, and then nails, I think your body would be completely obliterated, because if there's an explosion and then like, you know, hundreds of nails, they're coming at you really fast, and that will probably rip straight through you.
And it's
So
not even one bomb.
think that
There's like
that-
4 in the room.
Yeah, I think that was actually quite fair enough. I think a nail bomb will totally obliterate you.
No, I meant the people that survive.
Oh,
I mean, like the fact the capsules they have don't have like a door that blocks the nails coming in.
I was wondering about
That's
that.
what I
with-
mean. That's what I'm trying to say. Surely they would have like nails sticking out their legs.
Yeah,
I mean,
why
they
not?
wouldn't be dead, but they'd definitely be a bit injured.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
collateral damage.
I guess
I
so.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, but I stopped wondering.
Yeah, it's like it's contained somehow.
Yeah, which I don't get. I'm like,
yeah.
because I was wondering. I was like, I know Jan was in the Navy, but I don't reckon you were around any explosions or you would know. Yeah, but
No, but there are two types of grenades, right? There are the defensive ones and the offensive ones.
yeah,
So basically, the offensive ones are the ones like the metallic ones, with stuff inside that will just rip you apart. Kind of. Well, I'm not sure, but now we know. Whereas the defensive one is just like you launch it. It's like the training ones are filled with plaster.
all right.
So he will just like launch or weird gas or anything, so you can live,
Hmm.
you can flee. But this is clearly offensive, and it was in jars instead of metallic stuff. So yeah, I guess I've never witnessed anything of that sort yet. I have some family who were actually. Oh, what's that?
Ding,
I don't
ring.
know.
Not for me.
Not for
Okay.
me.
Just the curse of being a bottom flat is that we always get the buzzer. It'll always go off. I've got a package for 3-1. I'm like, well, ring 3-1.
I know. Then or put it at the fucking depot, for God's sake. I think I might actually say that next time. Like, is
The
there any way
guy-
you can put it at the depot, because we do this all the time.
The guy at Amazon said that they're not allowed to leave it at the person's door. They have to give it to somebody. I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, it's
yeah, that's fine, but there's also a depot that they can that's the rule, that if someone isn't there, you give it to, well, I guess it does say you've given it to one of the neighbors, but actually there is like a place somewhere else that they can put it. Like that, it's kind of annoying because it means that we get people calling at our door like 6 times a day.
Who was it?
the guy cleaning the windows, but then that's out the general windows for everyone thing.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
For Jan's editing purposes.
Oh, yeah. Did
Just-
you say stuff or anything?
No. Just for you to know that you hear you can see the clap in the clip, and you'll know that I can just cut to there when the buzzer goes off.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. There is Strum. After he missed the opportunity to get into that glass coffin, get squashed
Yeah.
between two walls. In 2004, when I was with the Navy, I was somewhere in Asia, Singapore. There was a Lord of the Rings exhibition, and they had some VFX stands that you could do stuff, and there was one where I just got myself in front of a green screen, and I got crushed, and I kept the video in Indiana Jones style. I need to find that video somewhere. I don't remember what it is, but I'll try to share that.
Nice.
Very cool. That's
Yeah,
very
that seems
cool.
pretty brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't actually see the arm snapping coming, so it actually did get me. Are you supposed to think that Hoffman is now dead?
No.
Obviously not, but it's just, why would they not explain that to you?
No, but because you see, it's just 1 second. You imagine it must be gas that will just fry you while you're in the box, but you can see some gas bottles underneath. I'm pretty sure that's kind of air to help him to continue to, breathe in the box while stuff is happening on top.
Oh.
So yeah, you're
So what? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Fair enough.
yeah, because it's the mini thing. Like, okay, so if you get in the box, you can see gas bottles, so that will send some weird toxic stuff. So you imagine but instead, no, that's not it. Even though there are the like the tubes that are actually connected to nothing on top, it's just decoration.
But I think it's also a ruse. It's like to make you think that the box is the trap, and then the trap isn't the box, actually. It's
Well,
just
yeah,
the
because
walls
Strom is
are.
obviously supposed to think that he's now won because Hoffman's in the box, and he's like, you're going to go through the trap, even though that was for me. But then it comes out later that was totally supposed to happen.
Play by the rules.
Exactly. And
Yep,
then,
yep.
so it's just weird, because if he thought that it was the trap, then I remember thinking that, where is he going? I remember what happens in the 6th film, so I do know what happens. It's just strange that they would leave it on that note, because it's like, anyone who doesn't know, it's like, wait, did Hoffman just kill himself? Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you can see that obviously the coffin is going in the floor, so he's not crushed with the other guy. But you have no idea. And I think there is kind of a shot pointing towards that a part of that box, and I don't feel you don't actually see the guy.
No.
Costas in there, so I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's a weird shot. But no, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the gas thing also acts as a thing that he was managing to breathe with at some point. So
Sometimes I hate the fact that we all know how to make good movies and what qualities are in a good movie. For example, in this film, I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to give this film credit. They haven't used the song yet. Immediately as I thought that, do 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 do, I'm like, oh, for God's sake!
Yeah.
It's almost like our brain goes, it hasn't been on yet. Let's put the song on to remind people.
That's when Tobin Bell was on the screen. So maybe that's they have a reason.
I mean, yeah,
Tobin
they don't
Bell's
use
music.
they don't use it in the scene where he appears, which I thought was quite good in the elevator. They don't use it in the room where he's like interrogating Hoffman. They use it. I think they use it afterwards, but in those two scenes, it's not there. Can I give a shout out to the best joke I made during watching this film?
Oh, for God's sake.
It almost makes me wish we did record audio tracks sometimes of us watching movies. Maybe next year if we want to do something with Saw, we'll like watch one of them and make an audio track or something.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I think it's a really good idea because then you can just edit the good bits.
Yeah, we could just do it with the Saw franchise, make that our yearly thing. Like we go back and do something new with it.
Oh, I'm not watching this again.
I'm joking.
Oh.
We maybe with another film at some point. What you guys know what this is, but it's the scene where one of the twins, as Anouk would say, phones the FBI to get in contact with Strom, and the woman goes, "He's not available right now. I can connect you to Mr. Bluetooth." And he goes, "Yeah, perfect." And he goes, "You've reached the voicemail of da 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 da." And I just go, what on earth is going on here? Like, it's a great job connecting him to this person. He got his voice box.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. She must have worked for the tech team.
Yeah, she
That's what
must
we were
have.
thinking, yeah.
Always.
It's like it's my first day. I used to work for the tech team.
Maybe just thinking about it. Maybe it's an homage because the tech team was 15 minutes late. Maybe that's why all the rooms had a 15 minutes time.
Yeah, just waiting for the tech team to come each time would have just been enough.
When Bluetooth phones for the response team, I need emergency response unit right now. I'm like, they're 20 minutes away.
It would have been really funny if the next film was just the whole of the tech team in a trap.
The tech team need a trap. Jigsaw's like,
You took a long time.
you guys don't understand the meaning of punctual. Now I'm going to puncture you.
You never heard about the D plot.
The D plot, the tech team.
The T plot. That's the tech team plot.
Saw 7 is this the tech team turn out it's like 7 Jigsaws. It's like we were behind it the whole time.
No.
Do we feel that we have anything else to add to this masterpiece of
I'm sure there was something else I was gonna bring up. Who decorated the nerve gas house?
I didn't understand
because he
that.
arrives at the nerve house gas. I'm like, oh, it's the house from Saw 2. And then I went,
Did you mean gas house? Not house gas.
house gas.
Nerve house gas.
Nerve house gas. The house is nerve, it's got gas.
Yeah.
No, that house from Saw 2, that'll save it. And I'm like, wait a minute, who decorated this? Because surely that would be like, nobody's going to live there again unless Detective Hoffman bought it.
No, but this is before the trap, so they obviously saw like a really nice house, and then they decided to just get rid of all of the nice furniture and make it into like this horrible house.
Really?
This is what I'm guessing, because didn't that room look really nice, and then they must have just like fucked it up before anyone.
Wait.
Brace yourselves, Aristotle fans. The unity of time was particularly shattered on this one.
Oh, it was bad.
I've just realised how they decorated the house. They never found that house. That's the house that Eric went to with Jigsaw at the end of 2. So the police never found that house. So I guess that John, Amanda and that live there or something, maybe. And they just like cleaned it up afterwards. They found like this really shitty house.
Planning their new life.
And then cleaned it.
With
So that's
kids.
that's how they took some time off in the 6 months between Saw 2 and Saw 3. They just did some redecorating.
Planning the future
No,
with
I
kids,
see.
and now that Jill is out of the way,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get to know what this box is and that envelope.
That was the thing I was going to mention. We still don't know what Amanda read in Saw 3.
I mean, there's a point where it's like people are going to forget about that. So surely we care less. And what you should do is I understand cliffhangers are very important, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't really put as a cliffhanger. It was just like part of the montage, and I just forgot about it immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I feel like there are so many really good ideas in this film, but they don't utilize them.
You're right. Yeah, and
In a
you
good
want to
way.
go on about unities this time, or are you good?
no, I'm good.
You good with them?
Yeah.
All right. Before we go into the ratings, I feel that we're there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something about something that kind of occurred to me when I was watching this film. So these films came out 1 year after the other, and unless you bought the DVDs and watched them all together before seeing the next one, I think by this point you're really confused what's going on. Imagine
Really confused.
Imagine waiting a year from Saw 4. Imagine waiting a year from Saw 4 and then just going to the movies to see this.
Not realizing, not remembering every
Exactly,
little thing
yeah.
that happened in Saw 4.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's a weird place to start a movie all over again.
No, that one thing I touched on the very first episode about the fact that everything in the end, when we have everything, is a tad confusing, but still makes some sense in some way, which I'm still believe it does. But you can't remove the fact that it's very confusing, and there are some stuff you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, I think as well, like, you can kind of follow it, but only if you've been watching the films like we have. Like, we maybe a few days might not watch any Saw film, but like we kind of consecutively watching this film, are you going to understand what the hell was going on in Saw 5? And I'm guessing 6 and 7 are kind of going to be exactly the same way. I think it's just that, again, there are really, really good ideas in this, and there are some things that you're like, oh, that could have really worked, but they don't understand story structure. They don't understand how to keep suspense. It's just a little bit like lazy, I guess.
They also did.
Is the word.
They did also cut away from a trap to another detective plot, like they did in 4. That was there again.
Such a bad idea.
Was it the bathroom? That was quite interesting. That's the first time they've used electricity in a test, so that was quite interesting. So I
Yeah.
give them credit for
Oh
that.
yeah,
That-
that was quite cool actually. I quite like that trap.
That was the bathroom, and the
Gotta have a
cuts
bathroom.
were a bit longer than in the other movie when it was just 2 seconds and then it cut. This one is like 10 or 20 seconds, which worked a little better, but just a little better.
No.
Whereas the other one was like 3 seconds of the detectives and then the trap and then 3 seconds. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not great.
dear, yeah.
So, with that in mind, Anouk Yan, was Saw 5 good, bad, or just plain standard? Anouk?
I mean, this is pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's still in the standard category, but it's like getting worse. So it's like in the middle of the standard level.
Right. Yan?
Okay, so if it was a standalone, so I've never seen anything before, and I'm going to the cinema to see that, I'll probably leave before the end. I was
Oh,
like, what
definitely.
the
Oh, yeah, it's unrateable.
Yeah. But it's a standard continuation to what went before. They built on what came before, and they left some surprises for the next episodes. Not entirely sure if I'm excited enough for the stuff they left out that we'll finally get to know about in the future movies. But yeah, well,
Yeah. For me, this is just plain standard. This was the one I was fearful of because I remembered it was bad, but it was not only bad, it was boring. I mean, some of the traps were great, and the teams behind them all, and all the budget and all the production design for the traps is amazing. But this was the first time that the traps were not involved as the main plot. We really shifted to try something else, which could be admired for trying something new, but it didn't work for me.
No.
And this is a just plain standard movie. I mean, if I was watching the Saw series, I would skip 5. That's how much I dislike this one. I'd like go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, maybe not even 4 now because I remember it being rubbish. And then
Just watch 1, 2, and 3, and that's it. And maybe Jigsaw if you have to, but even Jigsaw was like whatever.
then there is the trap that is in this one, which is also Jigsaw.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's, with the same kind of annoying, obnoxious.
Oh
guy.
yeah, the bucket heads and all that. The bucket heads are just the people with the collars. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So the another thing I wanted to say is before we wrap up, this is kind of a sad one because this is probably the movie that in the end killed Saw. Because we'll talk about it in Saw 6 before we really start discussing, because we obviously talk about the effect of the last one. But the reception of this film really kind of set the tone for the studio going, oh, people aren't that interested in this anymore. And another film came out, which we'll discuss in the next episode. I believe Paranormal Activity began to arise.
Actually, I just checked the date. So this movie you can see on our magnificent background, 2008, and Paranormal Activity 2007. So it was the same kind of years.
Yeah.
What is Paranormal Activity?
No, the date of the the date of Saw. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, cool.
yeah, there was a year before. So
right, so it's already having an effect.
Yeah. I think this film is kind of dated then when you're seeing things like Paranormal Activity, because I definitely was watching Paranormal Activity and thinking this is like really different and cool.
It starts to become the new annual franchise. As this now was. This was no longer just Saw. It was the annual horror film that kept coming out.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss more in episode 6. I'm excited. I am excited because I remember 6, and it does something different, and there's some interesting stuff done in it. So I'm excited to see it. What about you two? I would agree, though. I would say at this point I would get off. I'm like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah, I honestly think that I'm only watching the next two for like you guys. I really, really losing my grasp with
on reality
with this franchise. Yeah, exactly.
Jan, you said you were.
I've seen them a while back, so I know what's coming. But if there's those little nuggets of stuff that are left, so I would watch the rest to know if they actually address those or not, because sometimes they don't. Like TV series, they just stopped in the middle after one season. It didn't get renewed. Well, fuck.
Yeah. They do that with storylines as well, don't they? Like sometimes it's like, oh, the public didn't really care about that storyline, so we're just gonna leave it from the last episode. And some people are like, this happened to me so many times. I'm like, oh, but what happened with that storyline? That was such a good idea, but because the majority of people are not interested, they just leave it.
Yeah.
So it's such a public. I mean, of course it is. It's entertainment, but.
So we have 3 episodes left. We have Saw 6, 7, and Jigsaw. We're nearly there.
Yeah.
I'm excited about 6 and 7 because actually there are for both of them bilingual corners elements.
Oh, excellent! A lovely return to bilingual corner. We haven't been there in such a long time.
That's fun.
Excellent.
Good.
All right. So, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hopefully you're still with us, because I know 5 will lose a lot of people. If you have got to the end of this one, stick it out for 6. I think 6 is a pleasant surprise and a return upwards before the downward spiral of that is incoming. But hopefully you'll tune in to hear what we think about the other 3, because we are definitely going to watch them. So you might not have to.
Yep. What we'll try to do, inspired by those let them less little, because the one preview at the introduction of this episode was 12 minutes. The post screening videos, we'll try to do pre-screening and post for the films we watched together from now on.
That's good shit.
When that happens.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Other than that, thank you again for listening. Okay. We were
Adam,
Anouk,
and Jan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast. If you like what you heard, you can leave us a review via iTunes. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Good, Bad, Standard Podcast on both platforms. If you fancy seeing the live streams that we talk about on the podcast, they can be found on youtube.com. You search for Milk in a Wine Glass. There are other bits and bobs on there too, just to see what Jan's up to during the week. And if you really like us, like really, really like us, why don't you head on over to patreon.com/goodbadstandardpodcast and have a look if you want to support us. Any small donation is appreciated.